Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Scrapbooking Boys to Men, a series that I'm doing on my own now, moving through the letters of the alphabet and using each successive letter as inspiration for the next page. So today's letter is L, and I have chose to do listening. So the photos are of a screenshot of Nicholas's playlist. Current playlist that he's playing on his MacBook, and then of the speaker, the Sonos speaker, which is what he uses to broadcast that music. I am not working with a particular collection. I have pulled scraps from my stash. The inspiration of the colors was actually based on the Alex and Addison collections from Bella Boulevard. I remembered that they had, can you see that in the top left corner there, that the it's one of the Apple devices before the iPhone, the Apple, anyway, that archaic thing over there, up there, that you listen to music to. I remembered having all of the music notes in there and decided I wanted to use that collection. But I didn't have the pattern paper, but I did have Addison, the 6x8 paper pad, and that's the blue plaid up the top there, and I wanted to use that as one of the pieces. And then I built the color palette around that. The blue, the black and white stripe is also from Addison. And then I really liked the way that the geometric of the chamel went with it. And then I wanted to pull in a little bit more yellow, so I just rifled through my stash and coincidentally found an illustrated faith. That's what that bottom strip is there. So I really liked the way that the diagonal of the blue and black plaid, or houndstooth really, I think it is, plaid, up the top worked. And so I wanted to incorporate that diagonal down the bottom. And so I've got that chamel down there. And then I have the two photos, and then the third 4x3 is a journal card from an Allie Edwards kit. And so I wanted to mimic the top look with the diagonal and the horizontal down the bottom there, but it didn't come together as quickly because I wanted that same stripe down the bottom, and there we go. Problem solved. So just putting the yellow down the bottom, and then that bright geometric on top of that pulled together. There's a lot of pattern and a lot of movement with the stripes and the plaid and then this geometric, but by having the similar look to top to bottom, even though they're different colors, it grounds it and pulls everything together. And so I am just going to trim that down so that it provides that same line on the top as it does on the bottom, and then that ends up being the background. So I know I've cut out listening with my silhouette, so it was just a font, and I don't off the top of my head I remember what font it was that I just welded the letters together to put listening, and that's just black cardstock there. And I remembered to save the eyes, the dots for the eyes, which I don't always, those little details I forget about sometimes. So I'm going to use my Ultra Bond liquid adhesive to get that permanently adhered there. And I love that fine metal tip for those types of fine things. And then adhere that down. So one of the things that I'm going to struggle with here is those 4x3, so the two photos and the journal card. I know I want them at the bottom of the page to provide balance between top and bottom, but what I struggle with is I don't want them sitting directly on the bottom of the page, because I feel like it took up a lot of, you lost that diagonal at the bottom that matched the diagonal at the top, and then it felt like the page was very bottom heavy. So I knew I wanted to raise them, but the problem was in raising them, I then had that trapped white space below the photos and that yellow strip there. I suspected I was going to journal there, but I needed to confirm that that's where I was going to journal, knowing that I also had that blank 3x4 card there, how I was going to get the journaling, fill in that card, and not have that look like trap space. So see right there underneath, primarily that 3x4 card, there's that white space there that is just sort of this, it's trapped. Your eye gets caught right to that, and it doesn't see listening or the photos. So without the journaling, it has a funny look to it. I really liked that arrow drawing your attention to listening, and I wanted, because I'm trying to match in a way top and bottom, I really wanted to have that other arrow on the right hand side, but it wasn't. You've got so much, that red that's in the screenshots really catches your eye, and so you needed something more dominant to really, as that arrow there. You'll see me shuffle this around a few times. And where it is now is actually where it ends up staying, but it needed, if it were to have been on that right hand side, it really needed to have been something much brighter, like almost that yellow. So these elements are, again, as I said before, they're from, so I have my Alex and my Addison Bella Boulevard embellishments together in an iris case. And so I've just pulled, I don't know which is Alex, which is Iris, which is Addison. I've just literally pulled what I thought was going to work. So some of it is from Addison and some of it is from Alex. I had put adhesive down to stick those photos because I thought they were going to be overlapping that diagonal. And so I have a special eraser, an adhesive eraser from Thermoweb that I absolutely love, that I was just pulling up adhesive with there. So I'm going to scatter these music notes around the page again, just to sort of fill in a little bit of that white space, give a little bit of embellishment. There isn't a lot of embellishment on this page in the grand scheme of things. And I think in a large part that's because you do have the busyness of all the different patterns in the different pattern papers that I've used here. So see, I've committed to this arrow here, and I actually like them both coming off of that same left-hand edge because it's almost a beginning point for your eyes to move across the page, because I have don't have a trio of anything. I don't have my normal visual triangle in there, but I think the way the page works is because you've got the two triangles at top and bottom, and then you've got that mirrored effect from top and bottom as well. So that the musical note that I put next to listening on the right hand side, I could really have placed it anywhere. It would have looked fine to the left of listening, near that green strip that I've got up the border there too, but I liked that it sort of closed off that space and continued that visual movement from the arrow to listening to the musical notes, which is why I decided on putting that there. So I've got that green up the top next to the black and white, and so I wanted to have something overlapping as well, slightly different, but the same in that it's green, but slightly different in that it's longer. I wanted a few more notes to put on that right hand side so that you had the same depth of movement of that 4-inch tall 3x4 cards. So I just traced that blue musical note and fussy cut that out of the yellow paper, and that gives me another shot of yellow, so that in many ways my visual triangle ends up just being the yellow elements. So you move from the yellow of that musical note to the mustardy yellow that says things that make you you, down to the yellow in the that strip at the bottom there. So not an obvious visual triangle, but still a visual triangle there. You could also see the visual triangle as the cluster of notes on the right hand side of the photos, to the blue note on the left hand side, that one right there, up to the musical notes up the top next to listening. So that could be perceived as another visual triangle there. So, but definitely things that add movement. So I wanted just a shot more red. I am using some new ink pads from Paper Person. They are absolutely amazing. If you are looking for inks, I totally subscribe to these inks and need to have all of them. And I just like that little bit of color there, how it just wrapped everything up. So here is the full layout and then the close-ups to follow. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.